Everything in your owner's manual is designed to do one thing: get your truck past the warranty. After that, failures become your problem, not General Motors. I have been an independent mechanic for over 2 decades. I have seen hundreds of GMC trucks come through my shop with catastrophic damage that a $50 service would have prevented. Every single one of those owners followed the manual. Today, I am giving you the only GMC maintenance schedule that actually works. It covers every engine: the 2.7-liter turbo, the 5.3, the 6.2, and the 6.6-liter Duramax. Every service I am about to list costs a fraction of the repair it prevents. And the most important one, the service General Motors says you never need, I am saving for the end, because it is the single biggest LIE in your owner's manual. Let's start with what you should be doing every 5,000 miles. This is the foundation. Skip this and nothing else matters. Oil change. GM's Oil Life Monitor will tell you 7,500 miles is fine. Some owners push it to 10,000 miles because the manual says they can. And sure, your engine probably will not explode at 10,000 miles on synthetic oil. But here is what GM is not telling you. The 5.3-liter and 6.2-liter V8 engines use a system called DFM, Dynamic Fuel Management. It deactivates cylinders while you are cruising to save fuel. Every time that system activates, special lifters inside your engine collapse and expand, thousands of times per drive. Those lifters depend entirely on clean oil. When your oil gets thick with combustion byproducts, fuel dilution, and microscopic metal particles, it stops protecting those lifters. They wear, they get sloppy, and eventually they collapse completely, taking your camshaft with them. A customer brought in his 2021 Sierra at 92,000 miles with lifter failure. He followed the Oil Life Monitor exactly. He changed oil every 8,000 miles like GM recommended. The repair was $4,200. He thought he was doing everything right. But the manual is not designed to keep your truck running at 300,000 miles. It is designed to protect GM through the warranty period. Change your oil every 5,000 miles. No exceptions. For gas engines, use 0W20 Dexos 1 Gen 3 full synthetic. Capacity is 8 quarts. The AC Delco PF63 filter runs $12 to $18. For the 6.6-liter Duramax, use 15 W40 meeting CK4 specs. Capacity is 10 quarts. Now, here is the detail most people get wrong on the diesel filter. If your Duramax is 2019 or older, the correct filter is the AC Delco PF2232. If you have a 2020 or newer, GM switched to the PF26. Wrong filter, wrong fit. Check your year before you buy. Cost if you do it yourself, $45 to $70 for gas engines, $80 to $120 for diesel. At the dealer, $85 to $150 for gas, $150 to $250 for diesel. Tire rotation. Every 5,000 miles, front to back. Front tires handle steering loads and wear faster on the outer edges. A set of truck tires costs $800 to $1,400. Rotating them adds 15 to 20,000 extra miles of life. Cost, free if you own a jack. At a shop, $25 to $50. Visual inspection. Every oil change, spend 5 minutes underneath. Check for oil seeping around valve covers and the oil pan. Check coolant hoses for swelling. Look at brake pads through the wheel spokes. You should see at least 1/4 inch of material. A weeping valve cover gasket costs $150 to fix today. Ignore it until oil drips onto your exhaust manifold, and you are risking an engine fire. Small leaks become big leaks. Every 15,000 miles, add these to your routine. Engine air filter. Your engine breathes through this filter. When it clogs, your engine works harder to pull air. Fuel economy drops and power decreases. In severe cases, dirt bypasses a damaged filter and enters the engine, grinding away at cylinder walls and piston rings. General Motors says 30,000 to 45,000 miles. I say 15,000 miles, especially if you drive dusty roads or sit in heavy traffic. Think of it like a face mask. You would not wear the same one for 3 months and expect it to work. An air filter is no different. Cost $25 to $35 if you do it yourself. At the dealer, $60 to $90 for a 2-minute job. They are charging you $40 in labor to pop 2 clips and swap a rectangle. A woman brought her 2020 Yukon to the dealer for reduced power and poor mileage. They quoted $320 for diagnostics and a new mass airflow sensor. I pulled her air filter. It was jet black, packed with debris. I swapped in a $30 filter. Problem solved. That sensor was fine. It was just reading dirty air. Cabin air filter. This cleans the air coming through your vents. When it is clogged, your air conditioning works harder. Your defrost takes forever, and your cabin smells like a gym bag. It sits behind the glove box. Drop the glove box, swap the filter, done. 5 minutes, no tools, $20 to $30. At the dealer, $50 to $80 for 5 minutes of work. Brake inspection. At 15,000 miles, actually look at your brakes, pull a wheel. New pads have 10 to 12 millimeters of friction material. Replace them at 3 millimeters. Check rotors for grooves or heat discoloration. Blue or purple spots mean overheating. Check brake lines for cracks, bulges, or wet spots. Catching worn pads before they grind into rotors saves $300 to $500. Catching a deteriorating brake line before it ruptures could save your life. Every 30,000 miles, now we are getting into serious territory. Transmission fluid check. I said check, not change. At 30,000 miles, you are inspecting the fluid for early warning signs. With the engine warm, check the fluid color. Fresh transmission fluid looks like cherry Kool-Aid, bright red, and transparent. As it ages, it darkens to brown, then black. If your fluid is still red at 30,000, you are fine. If it is already turning brown or smells burnt, something is causing accelerated breakdown. Now here is the critical part most people get wrong, including a lot of videos on the internet. Your transmission fluid is not one size fits all. If your truck has the older 6-speed, the 6L80 or 6L90, it uses Dexron 6. If you have the 8-speed, the 8L90, it uses Dexron HP. And if you have the 10-speed, the 10L80 or 10L90, it requires Dexron ULV. These are not interchangeable. Putting Dexron 6 in a 10-speed transmission will damage it. Putting Dexron ULV in an 8-speed will cause shift problems. Check your Owner S manual or look up the fluid spec by your VIN before you touch anything. This is the single most common fluid mistake I see, and it costs people transmissions. Fuel system cleaner. Run a quality cleaner through your tank every 30,000 miles. The 2.7-liter turbo and the newer 5.3 and 6.2-liter V8 engines all use direct injection. Fuel sprays directly into the combustion chamber and never washes over the intake valves. Carbon accumulates on valve stems and ports, eventually causing rough idle, misfires, and reduced power. A bottle of Chevron Techron or Redline S. I1 costs $12 to $25. Professional intake valve cleaning costs $500 to $800. Prevention versus repair. It is not even close. Quick thing. If this is helping you, hit subscribe. I put out new videos every week helping GMC owners save money and avoid expensive repairs. Now let S keep going, because the next interval is the most critical one. Every 60,000 miles. What you do here determines whether your truck lasts 150,000 miles or 300,000. This is the fork in the road. Transmission fluid change. This is the big one. I am going to explain exactly why GM says this fluid is lifetime at the end. For now, just know that their recommendation is designed to get you past the warranty, not to 300,000 miles. Drop the pan, replace the internal filter, clean the magnet, refill with the correct fluid for your specific transmission. Most GMC trucks hold 12 to 14 quarts total. A pan drop replaces 6 to 8. That is fine. You are replacing the dirtiest fluid and the filter. Cost to you $150 to $200. At the dealer, $250 to $400. A transmission rebuild costs $3,500 to $6,000. This $200 service prevents that. Coolant flush. GM says Dex-Cool lasts 150,000 miles. In the real world, I recommend your first flush at 60,000. Dex-Cool is like sunscreen. It has active ingredients that deplete over time. Once those corrosion inhibitors break down, the coolant becomes acidic. It attacks the components it was supposed to protect. The water pump impeller corrodes. Radiator tubes develop pinhole leaks. The heater core buried behind your entire dashboard starts to fail. Drain. Flush with distilled water. Refill with fresh Dex-Cool. Never mix with green coolant. They react and form a gel that clogs your entire cooling system. Cost to you $40 to $60. A water pump costs $400 to $700. A heater core costs $1,200 to $1,800 because your entire dashboard comes out. This $60 flush prevents all of that. Differential fluid, front and rear. Your differentials contain gears under extreme pressure. The gear oil lubricates and carries away heat. Over time, it breaks down and collects metal particles. When it stops protecting, you hear whining from the axle. That means damage is already happening. Use 75W90 synthetic gear oil. Now, if your truck has a limited slip differential, you need to add a friction modifier. But here is where it gets tricky. Most GMC trucks with four-wheel drive have the G80 locker, not a true limited slip. The G80 does not need friction modifier. Adding it can actually cause the locker to malfunction. Check your RPO codes in the glove box or look it up by VIN before you add anything. Cost per axle to you, $50 to $80. At the dealer, $150 to $250. A differential rebuild costs $1,500 to $2,500. Transfer case fluid, four-wheel drive only. Your transfer case splits power between front and rear axles. For 2007 and newer trucks with Magna transfer cases, which is most of them, the correct fluid is Dexron 6 ATF. Older trucks with the NP246 may require AutoTrack 2. Check your manual. This is not a place to guess. Cost to you $40 to $60. A transfer case rebuild costs $2,500 to $4,000. Spark plugs. GM rates the V8 plugs for 97,500 miles. I recommend 60 to 80,000. As plugs wear, the electrode gap widens. Wider gaps need more voltage. Eventually, you get weak spark and incomplete combustion. Unburned fuel hits your catalytic converter. Sustained exposure destroys it. For the 5.3, 6.2, and 6.6-liter gas V8s, the AC Delco 41-114 Iridium plug is the correct part. $80 to $120 for all 8. A catalytic converter costs $1,200 to $2,000. Now, the 2.7-liter turbo has a different plug entirely. Do not use the V8 plug in a Turbo 4. Look up the correct part number by your VIN, or have the dealer parts counter pull it. General Motors also recommends 60,000-mile intervals for the 2.7 engine, the same as my recommendation for the V8s. Every 100,000 miles. If you follow this schedule, your GMC should be running strong. Here is what keeps it going for another 100,000. Serpentine belt and tensioner. This single belt drives your alternator, power steering pump, water pump, and air conditioning compressor. When it snaps, everything stops. You lose power steering instantly. You lose charging. Most critically, you lose your water pump. Without coolant circulation, your engine overheats in minutes. If you catch it and pull over, you need a belt and a tow. If you do not, you risk warped heads, blown head gaskets, or a seized engine. Repairs can cost $3,000 to $12,000. Replace the tensioner at the same time. A weak tensioner causes belt slip and premature wear. That costs you $80 to $120. At the dealer, expect $250 to $400. Brake fluid flush. Brake fluid absorbs moisture through rubber hoses over time. Water contamination lowers the boiling point. Fresh DOT4 boils above 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Contaminated fluid can boil at 300 degrees Fahrenheit or less. When brake fluid boils, it creates vapor bubbles. Vapor compresses. Liquid does not. Your pedal goes soft or sinks to the floor. You lose stopping power. This is especially dangerous when towing heavy loads downhill. A brake fluid flush costs you $20 to $30. At the dealer, expect $100 to $150. Power steering fluid flush, another so-called lifetime fluid. By 100,000 miles, your power steering fluid is contaminated with wear particles and moisture. It accelerates wear on your pump and rack. The pump whines and steering feels heavy. A power steering fluid flush costs you $20 to $30. A power steering pump costs $300 to $500. A steering rack costs $800 to $1,200. $30 prevents both. Now, the service General Motors says you never need. This is the most important part of this entire video. General Motors says your transmission fluid is lifetime. They print it in your owner's manual. Their service advisors repeat it at the counter. It is not true. Lifetime does not mean the lifetime of the truck. It means the lifetime of the warranty. General Motors calculated that most transmissions survive on factory fluid through the powertrain warranty period. After that, failures are your expense, not theirs. I have seen firsthand what happens. A customer brought in his 2020 Sierra at 118,000 miles. The transmission was slipping between second and third. Harsh shifts, a shudder when accelerating from a stop. We dropped the pan. The fluid was black, not dark red, not brown, black. It smelled like burnt rubber. The magnet was coated in metal particles and sludge. The filter was clogged. The transmission was destroyed internally. Clutch packs were burnt and glazed. The valve body was scored from years of contaminated fluid cycling through it. A rebuild cost $4,200. This owner followed General Motors' schedule exactly. He did everything the manual told him. Let me tell you about another customer. Same truck, a 2020 Sierra, same transmission, nearly the same mileage, right around 120,000 miles. This owner changed his fluid every 60,000 miles since he bought it. When we dropped his pan, the fluid was still a healthy pinkish red. The magnet had minimal debris. The filter was clean. The transmission shifted perfectly. Same truck, same miles, a completely different outcome. The only difference was a $200 service every 60,000 miles. General Motors' lifetime recommendation is not designed to protect your truck. It is designed to reduce warranty claims and generate repair revenue after the warranty expires. Change your transmission fluid every 60,000 miles. Use the correct fluid for your specific transmission. It is the single most important maintenance item for your GMC's longevity. Every service I mentioned today costs a fraction of the repair it prevents. A $50 differential service prevents a $2,000 rebuild. A $60 coolant flush prevents a $1,500 heater core. A $200 transmission service prevents a $6,000 catastrophic failure. These services prevent thousands in repairs. This is not about spending more money on maintenance. It is about spending smart money so you never have to spend stupid money on repairs that should have been prevented. Your GMC was built to last 300,000 miles, but it will not get there on General Motors' maintenance schedule. It will get there on this one.